Meet Sam Bankman-Fried, the crypto genius who built a global empire.
Lived like a king and fooled the entire world. But in just 5 days it all came crashing down to zero. How did America's favorite golden boy pull off the biggest financial heist of our generation? Let's find out.
Imagine standing at the absolute peak of the financial world. You've got literally billions at your fingertips, and your name is synonymous with the future of money. People are calling you the modern JP Morgan. You're bailing out struggling firms, dining with top policymakers, and then imagine watching every single ounce of that power, influence, and capital just evaporate into thin air. Welcome to today's Explainer, where we're digging into the story of Sam Bankman-Fried. We're looking at a staggeringly fast fall from the undisputed crypto king straight to a federal jail cell.
Okay, let's dive into this because we're looking at the ultimate contrast and fate here. I mean, it's a duality that really defines one of the greatest financial disasters in modern history. On one hand, you have an almost incomprehensible mountain of wealth, $26.5 billion, and on the other, absolute zero. Just a complete and total financial wipeout. So how does that happen? We're going to unpack exactly how that transition occurred and dissect the fatal flaws in a system that honestly seemed too big to fail.
Now, to really wrap our heads around the devastating speed of this fall, we first have to look at his wildly ambitious beginnings. Sam Bankman-Fried didn't just quietly enter the financial sector, right? He absolutely exploded into it. Crowned the crypto king, he wasn't just incredibly wealthy, people viewed him as a generational visionary. He was the figurehead promising to legitimize the entire digital currency landscape, bridging that massive gap between decentralized finance and traditional Wall Street institutions.
And the engine driving this whole meteoric rise? Well, that was FTX. SBF launched the platform, and it rapidly evolved into the central nervous system of the crypto trading world. It wasn't just some basic spot exchange. It was a highly sophisticated derivatives platform that pulled in retail traders and those heavy-hitting institutional players alike. It really became the absolute cornerstone of his empire, processing massive volumes, offering innovative trading products, and providing the immense liquidity that fueled his broader ambitions. Riding the wave of that platform's incredible trading volume and, aggressive venture capital funding, his personal net worth just skyrocketed. By the start of 2022, his empire hit its absolute zenith, firmly establishing him as one of the world's youngest billionaires. The guy was commanding resources that rivaled the GDP of entire nations. He was splashing out on naming rights for sports arenas, pouring millions into political campaigns, and all this while he was still in his 20s.
And this brilliantly illustrates the sheer scale of his fortune, $26.5 billion. When we're talking about wealth in the billions, it goes way beyond simple purchasing power, right? It represents immense global leverage. That kind of money buys immense public trust, highly paid regulatory defenders, and the benefit of the doubt from the smartest investors in the room. At the beginning of 2022, this astronomical figure was just his everyday reality, basically acting as an impenetrable shield around his operations.
But then, the timeline violently shifts. So what dark turn happened in November 2022? Up until this point, the public narrative was just one of unbroken success and unparalleled genius. Behind the scenes, however, the foundation was cracking. A leaked financial document finally brought the truth to light, and it triggered a catastrophic crisis of confidence that didn't just shake his companies, it literally shook the entire global financial world to its core. The mechanism of this collapse was actually shockingly simple, once you strip away the whole complex facade of algorithmic trading. First, the foundation of FTX relied entirely on the trust and the billions of dollars in deposits from the public. But instead of safeguarding those assets in one-to-one reserves like he promised, that money was secretly and fraudulently diverted over to his private trading firm Alameda Research. So this wasn't some complex market fluctuation or a sophisticated hack. It was a massive, deceptive funneling of public funds just to cover bad bets and risky venture investments. Once that massive fraud was exposed, the collapse happened at an impossible speed. A modern-day digital bank run kicked off instantly, with users rushing to withdraw their funds all at once. That entire $26.5 billion empire didn't slowly bleed out over months or years. No, it evaporated in just 5 days. The sheer velocity of this financial freefall was unlike anything modern markets had ever seen, creating this massive liquidity black hole that instantly wiped out billions in user equity. Let's piece this together and see how this builds into the complete picture we have today. Just to put this entire tragedy into perspective, early 2022 saw a $26.5 billion peak, the absolute height of his power. By November, the fraud was suddenly and publicly exposed. Merely 5 days later, that giant mountain of wealth hit exactly zero as the companies filed for bankruptcy. And the final destination? A 25-year federal prison sentence. It's really a terrifying map of modern hubris, charting a historic rise and just a totally catastrophic ruin.
And that brings us to the devastating aftermath. The legal consequences of taking the public's money and fraudulently diverting it into a private trading firm are, as you'd expect, severe and unforgiving. The digital mirage faded, those high-profile endorsements disappeared, and Sam Bankman-Fried was left facing the very harsh reality of the justice system. The celebrated title of Crypto King? Gone, permanently replaced by a massive fraud conviction and the ruin of countless investors.
So the crucial point is this final number right here, 25. For a man celebrated as the world's youngest billionaire, this represents his foreseeable future. The wealth that took him to the top evaporated in days, but the fraudulent and deceitful way he built that wealth, well, that's going to cost him decades of his freedom. It serves as a permanent, honestly chilling warning to the entire industry about the consequences of unchecked financial engineering.
As we wrap up this explainer, I want to leave you with one lingering thought. How can an empire built entirely on trust vanish into absolutely nothing in just 5 days? The broader financial world, whether traditional or decentralized, relies heavily on the fundamental belief that our assets are safe and accounted for. Sam Bankman-Fried's story is a stark reminder of the extreme fragility of digital empires when that transparency is compromised. So keep questioning where you put your trust and just how quickly it can all disappear.